Hey everyone, this is Caitlin.
And this is Lacey.
And this is Women in the Trailer Industry. Today we're going to talk about leadership skills, things that we look for when we're hiring for new leaders, and what we think is what people should possess trying to be in a leadership position or any position when you're trying to get a new job or... that was weird.
Yeah.
Trying to get a new job or, your job right now, for instance. So Lacey, what are some skills that you think are important for someone to have when going into a new job?
Well, I think I'll just start with by saying, I personally think, and this is just loosely my opinion, that there's three different kinds of people. And as far as when you're going to hire for a position or whenever you're applying for a position. So there's the kind of people that are go-getters. They always want to climb. Whenever you're talking to them, they may be coming into a job, but they are going to be looking for the next step up. What is that next step? And then there's people that really own their position and the comfortability of that, and they dominate it. They're not really looking to get anywhere else. They just want to be good at what they're doing, which all good things, right? We need all people. But and then there's also the people that are going to come in for the job that they think that they're good at, and their probably skill set is intact and good and ready for them to grow, but they may be fearful. I think a lot of people are fearful of that next step, and really the unknown is what they're fearful of. Not that they don't have the skill set to do it, but just the unknown of what it's going to require. So I think just some things that just going into a job, you're going to have different kinds of people. Things that are good as far as leadership goes is, number one, confidence. Even if you don't truly feel confident in what you're doing, exuding that confidence and really putting that kind of like that vibe on yourself, to be confident. And I'm sorry, I got kind of on a tangent, so I'm losing my train of thought. But what are some things that you feel like are...
Well, one of the most important for me is self-confidence, but in a way of whether you're confident or not, if you're coming into a new place, just don't put that opinion on everybody.
Right.
And I say that because we just had that recent experience, but as a new person, and especially as someone in a leadership position, you don't need to give the perspective that you're not confident in what you can do, for one, or that there's some reason I wouldn't think that you were here for a long term and things like that. So I think it's just a time when you should really kind of watch what you're saying, so you're not giving that bad first impression to people, because then those people are like, well, did I hire the right person? Right. Or what's going on? Am I constantly going to have to tend to this person's personal development as far as confidence and all these things go? So that's a big one for me. I hired you for your skill set and that that what you're doing. I don't want to second guess you, so you don't need to second guess you, because then what are we left with after that? Then your other point to your number one of your characteristics of people is, the person who's driven to get stuff done. Yeah. And I see that a lot with people we hire here. They're wanting those leadership positions. They're wanting to go, 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 go. But then we do have the people in those second positions where they just want to do their job. They want to feed their family. They want to go home, and nothing's wrong with that. We appreciate those people too, because they're consistent. Yes. They're not always chasing the next best thing, because sometimes when you don't have that next best thing to offer people, they get stuck, and that's not, they don't enjoy that.
And they feel stagnant too.
Yeah. So then they may decide to do something else. So I do think you need all kinds of people. I do definitely think that, confidence is a big one for me, because I don't want to second guess you, so I don't want to have that thought in my head all the time.
And confidence really, to me, comes from, like you said, your own skill set. And that doesn't have to be directly tied to whatever job it is that because I say that because you can go in with a skill set that gives you the resources that you need to learn and to train in a certain job that you may not have had previous experience in, but you are confident that you have the skill set, you're resourceful, and you can ask questions when needed. And if you can't find something, then you will try to figure it out. Like those kinds of things play into your confidence that's really what you need, and not like, oh, well, I know how to do XYZ for this job.
Yeah.
That's all trained, right? So
exactly. Yeah, and I think another, quality that I see in a bunch of leaders is resilience. And I use that word. I was talking to Juan the other day, and it's because everyone here who's moved up has constantly things thrown at them.
Yeah.
And resilience in a way of, critical thinking, like you can think on your feet, something's thrown there, but also there's always a different opinion on what your decision was. So that resilience of, this is my decision, standing firm in that, and just being resilient to everybody else's opinion of whether you made the right decision or the wrong decision, because at the end of the day, it's your results. And it's really not their opinion that matters.
True.
So just resilience in that aspect, because you always have people questioning your decisions. And so just, I put blinders on. I don't specifically, but I would say just put blinders on and do the work and make the decisions and just be confident in those. So resilience is another.
That's a hard one
word.
too, because a lot of people are people pleasers, and it's hard when you know that there's kickback in whatever decision you've made. First of all, it takes a lot to make a decision to change a process or to do something a certain way. And you feel like you've thought it all through. So when you make that decision, you want to feel good about it.
Yeah.
And then when people give you blowback, you're like, should I question myself? And that's like this whole like mind game that you start playing with yourself. But that goes back also to resilience and confidence in knowing that you did do the things that needed to be done to make that good decision.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think decisions, become more complicated than they need to be. Like, just make the decision and roll on. And,
and if it turns out that it's okay, that people aren't perfect, right? So if you make a bad decision, you can be resilient and change that, and like be open to change and making it better, as long as you're open to that.
Yeah, and flexible. I mean, it's okay if you're wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I was wrong.
Own
Let
it.
me change it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but if you never make the decision, that gets into another whole thing of like, you're never growing, you're never moving if you're always hesitant to make a decision, because somebody's going to be mad at that, because there's always going to be somebody not okay with what you've done.
Yeah. And so you just have to keep moving it forward. And, I don't really know what I was going to say after that, because we said it all in the first one, but just really possessing those skills, always, doing the work, putting your blinders on, especially as a leader. Do you have anything else to add?
Also, being uncomfortable sometimes is a good thing, because it forces you to have to get out of your comfort zone, to think about things in a different way that you may not have thought about before. Sometimes being uncomfortable in a situation is a good growth opportunity as a leader, because leaders always have to learn. They always have to grow. They always have to hear their team, because their team's in the weeds and they're doing the day-to-day, and they have to be open to what they're saying. And that might mean that you have to change your thought process, because operationally it's going to work better because of what they've said. So being uncomfortable sometimes in something is a good thing. It's where growth happens.
Yeah. And we definitely experienced that. We recently went through quarterly conversations, and, in the past, we've never just had a sit down moment, except casually maybe.
Yes.
That it was like, okay, tell me what's going right. Tell me what's going wrong. Tell me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And it's uncomfortable, because no one wants to hear like negative feedback on themselves, right? Everything wants to be hunky-dory, but usually there's underlying things going on, underlying feelings in people, and it was just interesting for us to be uncomfortable in those moments. And I think that's going to lead us to being more comfortable, which I think is the point of it. But, to your point, being uncomfortable actually does create that growth. We're training new leaders now, and it's so funny to be able to coach them in a way like they're nervous. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to be transparent. And like, we kind of feel like it's easy at this point, but we were there. Yeah. And we're the ones who didn't want to do it. And so it's just interesting to watch the new leaders like grow in that self-growth kind of aspect of being comfortable with their employees. So.
And that's really good point that you make is to always like, if when you are in the leadership position and you are training somebody or helping somebody else who is coming into a leadership position, remember where you were. Like, remember those feelings that you had. It may not be uncomfortable for you now, but it was. And so to be able to relate and to coach in that way is a really good thing.
One thing I've recently come to the conclusion with myself is, hear your people if they're continually asking you the same thing, or they don't know, and we kind of had a conversation, or they don't know how to answer their question. Maybe we're not giving them the right resources, and as much as we think we are, because we're telling them every day, we're doing this, they're doing that. There's something that is not coming across to everybody in the group, whether it be one person who's struggling. Like, I've just come to the conclusion I'm going to repeat myself probably about 1,000 times.
Yes.
And then, we said it in our group powwow the other day. It's been, I don't know, I feel about 2 years, and I finally feel like some of the things we were putting in place 2 years ago have actually come around, and like the issues we were dealing with 2 years ago are not the issues we're dealing with now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we've jumped this whole level, of just employeeship, which is a good thing. And there's still issues and all that good stuff. But from what it was, it's just jumped up so much more. And I think that's just keeping the pace and implementing and reinforcing constantly to reach those goals. So
absolutely.
They said 7 quarters. So I guess that's true, because it has been about 2 years that I felt like we've been repeating ourselves, right? So,
but stay the course too. I mean, it is frustrating sometimes because you're like, golly, I've said this so many times. But it's also nice to be on the other end of it when you do see after 2 years that those issues we were having have resolved or dissolved because of the things that we keep repeating and saying and being consistent on. So that's a good reinforcement that we're doing the right thing.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean,
anything else?
No, I think we hit pretty much all the high level stuff.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. I think it will be after the winter break.
Yes.
And Lacey will have a little one on the way.
Yeah.
So if you'll like and subscribe anywhere that you hear us, you'll stay updated when we come back on. And we look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, don't forget to follow Full Send with Juan Hernandez. And we did do like a farewell podcast with all 3 of us together, which is pretty fun to do. I like when we get together and do those things. So follow us with there too. Well, thank you guys for watching.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.